Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and it's Women's History Month, and I'm here today to talk to you about Why Women Kill Season 1. So this show came out in 2019, and I'm just now watching it now. I completely forgot all about this show, and I was really curious to see what it was about. Because I remember hearing about it, but I didn't really know anything about the show other than the first season was set in 3 different decades and stuff. And I figured, okay, yeah, a woman's gonna kill somebody on this show, but like, why? So, other than that, I didn't know anything about it. And so, normally when I do get into like a show, I start like if I feel like talking about it, I start like grabbing pictures and this and that. Only problem is I stopped doing that now, halfway into watching the show, because when I go looking for pictures, I get spoiled and I don't want to get spoiled. So now I wait till like, after I'm done watching the show, then I start collecting pictures and stuff. And this show lasted for 2 seasons on Paramount Plus. It was renewed for a third, but for whatever reason, they decided to reverse it and cancel the show. Now, the first season takes place during 3 different decades with 3 completely different married couples. The second season, which I have not watched yet, only takes place in 1 decade with one cast and everything, which is odd that they would change the premise of that. The premise of the first season was very unique. You don't see too many shows doing that. And the way they blended the show together during the 3 decades and stuff, they did very nice camera wise, especially in the first and the 10th episode, because these are only 10 episodes long in an hour. So this show was created by Marc. He is best known for creating Desperate Housewives, a show I used to love watching back in the day when it was on TV. And Marc, he has been around the entertainment business for a while, but he doesn't create that much. He was a producer and writer on both The Golden Girls and its spin-off series, which I didn't know he goes back that far. But then he started creating like his own shows. He's only created 6, but only 3 of them were successful. And he created 3 shows in the 90s that all got canceled after the first season. But then he waited about a couple of decades and a half, and then he came out with the juggernaut known as Desperate Housewives. And Desperate Housewives is his most successful show that he has ever created. And it's ironic because this show is actually Desperate Housewives 2.0, which I will get into a little bit later. The second show he created was Devious Maze, which I still have not seen yet. It's been taking me a while. I don't know why I haven't started watching that yet. I think I've been busy and stuff. I'll try to catch at least one episode in the coming days and stuff. And then of course this one. Now, Devious Maze lasted for 4 seasons, and this show, Why Women Kill, only lasted for 2, but it would have went on for a third. And so like those are really like, the only shows he's really been known for. But of course Desperate Housewives is the biggest one of them all, and I'm pretty sure he has made a buttload of money off of Desperate Housewives and stuff. Now, the reason why I say this is basically Desperate Housewives 2.0, because it really and truly is. I haven't seen Devious Maze yet, so I don't know the style and tone of that. But when you watch this show, it feels like you're watching Desperate Housewives. There's a certain flair to Marc shows. Like there's a certain like artistic style. When you watch his show, you know you're watching his show. When I was watching this show, I started to see the little quirks here and there of like what made Desperate Housewives Desperate Housewives. And so he has this very unique, like, filming type style. He wrote the first episode and directed the first episode of this one. And he also, I think, directed the 10th. And so, like, when it comes to not only his style, it's the characters and stuff. Like, too many characters in this show are too reminiscent of Desperate Housewives. And also the themes and everything. Things you normally would find in a Marc Cherry show. One, a bunch of housewives. A bunch of housewives that are not so much desperate housewives. I guess housewives that aren't satisfied, who are going through the motions, going through the struggles. It's the show. Oh, not throwing my camera. He mostly revolves his show around the housewives. The husbands are there as well, but they're more like supporting cast to the housewives. Other themes that are in his show are like cheating, murder. There's always a weed reference, somebody selling it here and there. There's always more of like the scandalous type person. There's always one that's like a wife that's dating an underage person. Some other tropes that he normally. Oh, there's always an LGBT character in there. Something else. Can't really think of it right now, but oh, there's always one of the family members who you know who their political party is, where the other ones is just a guessing game. But not only that, but like some of the characters resemble like the Desperate Housewives character, either in like the way they are, like their hairstyle or something. Like now I remember cancer is another thing that pops up in his shows, and also narration and stuff. Like in the first season, it's a unique narration. Every episode would start off very oddly. It would have a person breaking the fourth wall who really isn't even in the show, and they will just start talking about what happened in like the show or something like that. And then in the second season, one of the characters that died in the first, they just brought the actor back to narrate the entire thing. And that's something like a quirks that's always in his shows and stuff, gags or whatever you want to call it. Beth Ann is basically Bree Hodge. She even has the red hair. She's a housewife. She cooks, she cleans, she does everything around the house. She caters to that of her man. She's like very old school, especially when it comes into like the bedroom and stuff like that. And she's just like a flowery type person, you know? And like even at some point they both own guns because like Bree was in the NRA, and so like Beth Ann later on buys a gun to like kill her husband. Simone is the Gabby Solis character of the show. And you know, basically she's like a woman who marries for money. She's very wealthy and everything. And she starts to show off by dating an underage teenage boy and everything, who she eventually has strong feelings for and stuff like that, and he has strong feelings for her. It's basically that same trope. They're both selfish, they love expensive stuff, and they try to cover up their affair. Now, Taylor's a little bit of a tough one to pin down. Their couple things she go through in the show is completely different than anybody has ever went through in Desperate Housewives. She's probably the most like creative that he's come up with, but she has a little bit of Lynette Scarvo in her. Like a bit, you know what I'm saying? She's a strong woman, independent, she works, her husband doesn't work. So yeah, she's kind of like the Lynette of the show. And you know, that's all I can really think of, other than like her being like the breadwinner of like the house. Oh, very independent, very strong, very micromanaged and stuff like that, you know. So yeah, she is like, you know, the Lynette of the show. It's really interesting that he will basically just copy Desperate Housewives and everything. It's not like a full copy and paste, but like, you know, there, like I said before, there are some homages to his original, most successful like show he created. And the reason for that is because Desperate Housewives ended in such a way he could never go back to it. And the reason for that is because in the very last episode, as stated, all the women went their separate ways and haven't seen each other since. Maybe they kept in touch through email or text or like phone, but for the most part, it literally just says they have not had contact with each other since they left Wisteria Lane. And he probably did that. Probably so people won't be all like, well, where's the movie coming out? Where's the movie? You know, like Sex in the City. People thought like after the show ended, oh, we need a movie. Or like Friends and Community, oh, we need a movie after the show ended. It just can't end like this. He didn't want to do that Brady Bunch Sex in the City type thing where, you know, they come back a couple of like decades, they make a movie, and then the movie is never really like the show and everything. So that could be a reason why he did that the way he did. So breaking the show down in 3 different decades is very unique and gives the show its own like style away from like other shows. The different decades is 1963, 1984, and 2019. And what's interesting is that the reason why the show doesn't take place in like say the 70s or the 90s is because the women in that occupy the house stay there until they give the key and deeds up to the next family, and the next family of course is the next person that the show revolves around and stuff. So that's really unique and interesting. Now going into this show, I really didn't know what to expect. I knew that the fact it was called Why Women Kill, and it was dealing with 3 like wives and stuff. I figured, oh, okay, so the show must be about 3 wives that probably killed their husband. Because when you watch the first episode, each husband does something that pisses off the wife. 2 of them cheat, and the other one wants to. Well, the third one's a little bit more complicated. But anyway, so I'm like, okay, so that must be what it's about, right? Like they killed her husband. No, not exactly. So then I thought to myself, okay, it's called Why Women Kill. So I'm like, okay, so maybe not every woman in the show has to be married or whatever and is gonna kill. To a degree, yes and no. It's kind of a blend of both and everything. So then I thought to myself, okay, so the first 2 episodes got me hooked. By the 3rd and the 4th, I was kind of bored. And the reason why I was kind of bored is because not only did nobody die yet, but like it didn't lead up to nothing to that they wanted to kill that person. So I'm just kind of like, so what the heck? Are they literally just gonna die in like the 10th episode? Yup. You have to wait all the way to the 10th episode just for them to die, and all the way to the 9th episode just for them to start plotting out their revenge. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Because like I was kind of wondering, okay, would they kill somebody halfway or something like that, or plan it out? And then you go along with this like murder mystery type thing, but you already know who died and who did it and stuff. But you were wondering when they're gonna get caught. And it's not even like that. Because the thing is, what intrigued me was, okay, I wanted to know why they was gonna kill their husbands. I didn't come into this show wanting to watch like a drama. Drama's not really my thing, especially family dramas and stuff. In order for me to like a drama, it has to be like a period piece, or like, you know, some type of like superhero content where they don't have that much money for CGI, but the drama is really good, or teen dramas, only because they're really juicy and scandalous and everything. But a regular old family drama is just, you know, just like not my thing and stuff. Like one of the things that got me into Desperate Housewives was, like I said before, I watched a recap episode and I saw Lynette and Tom at their, well, soon to be their diner, and that rat just ran across the room and I just bust out laughing. And then I saw all the humor in the show, and also every season revolves around a murder mystery. That's what intrigued me and everything. And if it wasn't for those factors, I would have never watched Desperate Housewives. what got me into Pretty Little Liars is the fact that there was a stalker stalking these four girls who had all these secrets and stuff. Shows like GCB just didn't do it for me because it was just a regular old drama. And like, but what got me into Mistresses was the fact that all these women were scandalous and doing things they had no business doing. And so basically, when you watch this show, it really is just a typical drama, dark comedy type thing. You literally just like, watch these people live out their lives and, building more complex onto why it's pissing the person off. But then it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's just not what I signed up for and stuff. So while, yes, it is a good show and everything, it's just not the show I typically watch. And it really does suck. I have to wait all the way to the ending just to figure out what the heck is going on and who's going to do the killing and how they're going to get away with it and stuff. And so that's one reason why I haven't watched the second season yet. Because not only does it have a brand new cast and everything, but like I don't want to wait till like the 10th episode. Maybe they'll change things up. Like who knows, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know. And so like, and also it takes place only during one decade. So, the fun wow factor of that is gone because the transition between each decade, the way they do it is cool. And the way they set it up is even cooler, especially in that 10th episode. I was not expecting it to see that the way it was. And I've never seen another show or movie do anything like that. So props to Marc for directing that episode and stuff. And so let's go through each decade with the family drama that is going on. And before I go into that, I have to say, I don't like the intro. The Desperate Housewife intro was different, unique, and interesting, but it was just, I don't know, it was different and cool at that time. But yeah, I just don't really like the intro all that much. The second season intro is basically just nothing. And so, like, also, believability of these families. The 3 decades. Okay, the one that's set in the 60s and everything. I can see this actually happening in real life. I can see the story playing out the way it does. This one aspect of it, I don't know, that's a little wishy-washy, but other than that, I can see this actually happening. As for the people in the 80s, I can see that happening too. And it's probably one of the better stories told, both emotionally and like juicy emotional factor and stuff like that. But it didn't look 80s to me. Other than Lucy Liu's big hairstyles and the purple walls, and that's about it. Nobody dressed like they was in the 80s to me on that show. Except for when they went clothes shopping, I saw some 80s looking shirts. But other than that, it just didn't look or scream 80s. It just looked like any other decade and stuff, like the 90s or something. And as for the 2019 couple, I don't like that storyline at all. I don't like nothing about that storyline. It doesn't feel all that believable to me. And once you get to the reason why this person wants to kill somebody, it literally happens in like the 8th episode. Other than that, you don't really get no hints that person is crazy and stuff. You see something happen and it makes you go, But that was mostly like in a self-defense kind of thing. Other than that, I just don't like that story. I don't like nothing about that story, like at all. And it's one of the things that is one of my biggest gripes about modern day television story. They're not telling their characters genuine or real. They're just doing the mandate of the checkoff list and everything. It feels more like every modern type show you'll watch nowadays and stuff, with the same tropes that are starting to bug and annoy people. Even like, people like myself who are not overly critical or toxic or nothing, who understands why they're doing it. But then after like so many different shows constantly doing it in movies. It's just you start to see it, and you start to see it for what it really is. It's pandering and it's a checkoff list. But let's go by decade. So 1963. So the house that this show revolves around is a house in Pasadena, a mansion, and it's known as the murder house because over the decades, somebody always died in that house. And I don't know, I know the exterior is the same house and it remains the same. The interior, that's where I'm a little bit skeptical. Is it the same interior, just redressed? Or did they just duplicate the outline of the interior and just have different set pieces? Because for the most part, it always takes place either in the living room, the kitchen, or the bedroom and stuff. And no other place in the house, really. So if they did just redress it, man, it must have took forever to film this show and stuff. Which is probably why they didn't want to do that in the second season. Anyway, so the first family is that of Beth Ann. And Beth Ann is played by Jennifer Godwin. And I was happy to see her again because I haven't saw her since Once Upon a Time. And and I really love her acting ability, and it was nice to see her do something comedic. Like she plays a completely different character than what she did on Once Upon a Time. And she would have fit in perfectly in Desperate Housewives. All of these women would and stuff. Which is why I wish they would have just simply called this show Desperate Housewives the Next Generation or something. Because they would have been perfect and everything as like groups of friends and all hanging out and everything. But then it would have been then a direct ripoff of Desperate Housewives then, other than a seemingly ripoff of like the show. And so she is married to that of Rob. And Rob is her husband and the breadwinner because she's just a housewife. She does everything like staying in the kitchen, cooking, cleaning, sewing, this and that. She has no job other than just taking care of the house. He is a astronaut engineer. And when they move in, they seem like the perfect, like cookie cutter type family and everything. They befriend this woman across the street named Sheila. And Sheila doesn't like how Beth Ann caters to her husband. Her husband said once she started reading this feminist book, she just changed. The 70s are coming up. And so, like, her husband realizes that he looks familiar, but doesn't understand why Rob looks familiar. So then Sheila decides to spill the beans to Beth Ann that Rob was caught at a diner hooking up with one of the waitresses. This devastates Beth Ann because Beth Ann is a woman who always wanted to be married. She thought she was in a great marriage. She's very lovely, and she doesn't understand why her husband would want to cheat with a younger girl. Because she does everything for him, except for the things that he won't. So, at some point, it is revealed that they had a kid. And their child died at a very young age. And she says it's literally her fault, and her husband keeps blaming her for it. Basically, what happened was one day, they was home, and their child went to go play outside. She thought she locked the gate to the fence, or the lock to like the fence or whatever. And the child got out and went in the street with the ball, got hit by a car. And since then, they never tried to have another kid, and he does not want to adopt. He doesn't even want to try to make another child and everything. And he's very much a 1960s type husband. When he comes home, he expects food on like the table and everything and all this other crap. And even if his wife is enjoying herself playing the piano, he'll make her stop and be all like, look, my drink need olives in it. So go in the kitchen and go get me some. And he's very condescending in things that she wants to do. He doesn't want to pursue her love of music and stuff like that. So basically, she takes the crap out of him, you know what I'm saying? Which is now the reversal role, what you'll see in the 2019 family and stuff. And so, like, but here is very expected to see that in a 1960s setting. That's how women were. they catered to their men, sadly. And you know what I'm saying? Thank God times have changed, because it was very barbaric from then. I'll say probably 1970s to the beginning of time. It was barbaric, the way men treated women and the way women took it and stuff. And so, what's interesting about this family is that she decides to do something really odd. She decides to go down to the diner, not to confront the woman, which would be more realistically, but she decides to befriend April. She befriends her to find out everything about this mystery man April is dating, the things he likes and this and that. And so that she can try to change her lifestyle to better fit her husband's needs, like, you know, what he wants to do and the reason why he cheats. Hoping that if she does all the things that April does that makes him happy, he'll never want to cheat again. Oh boy, the twist towards the end by the 8th episode, I did not see coming. Anyway, so April is actually played by Sadie Calvano, I think her name is, which I was happy to see her again. She used to be in a show I talked about earlier this year called Mom, but then she got written off when the format of the show changed. And it really pissed me off and everything, because when the format of Mom changed, I stopped watching. And so basically throughout the entire first season, April and Beth Ann become friends. She changes her name, of course, so she doesn't know, you know, stuff like that. But she realizes that April actually knows she's dating a married man and doesn't care, making her a skank. Now, of course, she does learn out what Rob likes. Smoking pot, doing adventurous things and things sexually. So here comes a little comedic stuff. Beth Ann decides to surprise him in the shower and play his flute. She doesn't know how to do that. Very Brie Hodge of her. To the point where she's literally biting on this stuff. He freaks out, busts through the window, and everything, it falls on the floor. You know, this shower has like a glass door, window, stuff like that. Oh, the humor. But the problem, as you can probably guess it, that I did not see coming, is that she actually enjoyed being the friend of her husband's mistress. And I'm just like, oh, nah, man, don't go down that route. But they do. So, it's even to the point where she befriends April so much that when Rob was supposed to go see her sing at the bar, he was unable to because he started having feelings for his wife again and didn't really want nothing to do with April. Technically, she won. But now this leaves Beth Ann so heartbroken, which is stupid in my opinion. Just like her friend Sheila told her, you won. He doesn't want April no more. He wants you and everything. Like, you know, but that just hurts Beth Ann's feelings. So she makes him go to like a baseball game by himself with his boss or something like that. And she goes attend the bar to see April sing. And then it gets to a point when she realizes, okay, I have one. I need to get rid of this woman. But then there is a problem. The problem is April gets pregnant. So Beth Ann is kind of like, crap, dude, what do I do now? So April wants to get an abortion at a very seedy back alley type place. Basically, it's a woman that takes the money up front and she performs it on the kitchen table. This is what they used to do back in the day, and this is why Planned Parenthood was created, so people wouldn't do this and die in back alleys and stuff. And this is actually still now going on today, believe it or not. I just read something online on NBC that a woman is in jail now for 2 years because she helped her 17-year-old daughter do an illegal abortion. She performed it herself or went somewhere and did it. And her daughter got rid of the fetus. Cops found out, and now she's spending 2 years in prison. I don't know what's going to happen to the 17-year-old girl. They didn't say. Or that, and I just didn't feel like reading up further and stuff. But anyway, it still goes on till today. So Beth Ann's all like, nope, you're not doing this. I'll take you to a place that's more hygienic, like a clinic. But then she has a weird idea. What if her and Rob keeps the baby and everything? This is when Sheila, her friend, tells her, like, look, man, I'm done. This was fun at first, but now you're getting kind of creepy with it. You're literally the best friend of your husband's mistress. So, um, with all that, something had happened where Beth Ann got worried and told her husband she has cancer. She really doesn't, but she was trying to keep her husband there for whatever reason. And so, like, she tells him she only has 6 months to live, which is a really crappy thing to write in a show. But like I said before, this is Marc Cherry. His Desperate Housewife had two different cancer stories. The first one they did was more humorous, and the second one they did was more serious because the actress was actually going through it in real life and died after the show aired. And so, like, since Rob found out that now he's about to have a kid because April went to his job, he proposes to her, which pisses Beth Ann off. And he tells April he's not going to marry her until 6 months because then his wife will be dead. So Beth Ann screwed herself by saying that. So Beth Ann decides, you know what, I'm just going to pack up my stuff and leave. I have lost my husband. So she goes down to his job, but he's not there, and she talks to the secretary. And this is where the twist comes in that I did not see coming. The secretary tells him he's off with his mistress, and I haven't been a good friend to you because he's been cheating on you for years. So it turns out he's just a no good dirty dog, and he's just been cheating on his wife for multiple years and stuff, even before his daughter died. But that's not where the worst part is. See, right before the child died, Beth Ann found a button in her house on the floor. She thought it was her husband's. The secretary tells her that I used to have an affair with your husband. And the day your daughter died, I was at your place. You and your daughter came home early, and I had to get out the house. I ran out, my button ripped off, and then so like she ran out the door, and she's the one who unlocked the fence but forgot to lock it back, and that's how the daughter got out. So Beth Ann has been blaming herself all these years, and it was her husband and the secretary's fault for why the daughter died. So then she asked the secretary, plain and simple, does her husband know? And he did, and he told the secretary to keep it secret about the whole gate thing. So he blamed his wife for no reason. This is what sets her off on the edge, and she begs her, the secretary, not to like talk about this conversation with like nobody. She doesn't even want to punish the secretary, which is kind of messed up in my opinion, because it's the secretary who left the gate open and stuff. And also she was having an affair with the man's husband, the woman's husband. But this is what prompts her to buy a gun. But then this is another twist that's coming. She doesn't shoot him with the gun. She stages a rather interesting situation. See, during the show, she talks to a neighbor, and the neighbor has an abusive husband. The neighbor wife lady has bruises, her arms, and a cast, like you name it. He's a very abusive, very jealous man. So she tells this woman that we can solve both our problems, and our husband can kill each other, or one kills the other and the other one goes to jail. And so like she makes this big elaborate plan that I'm just like, oh my god, you can't root for her no more. Like, you just can't, because she is now the bad guy. So what she does is this: she has the neighbor wife write a letter telling her husband that she's leaving him for Rob. She packed all her bags and left. So Beth Ann took all the clothes, put them in the trunk. And the wife hid under the bed. When the husband came home, he's pissed and he grabs his gun and he heads to Rob and Beth Ann's house. Beth Ann is just there waiting for, giving the signal and waiting for like the call and all this other stuff. When April shows up out of nowhere, which kind of screws things up a little bit. So she's trying to get April out the house, but here comes the angry husband. He's pissed. They fight and tussle on the ground. He gets the gun knocked out of his hand, and that's when Beth Ann goes and runs and go gets her gun, and she throws it to her husband Rob. He cocks it, he shoots, but there's no bullets in it, and she looks at him with a big smile on her face, like a grin. She left the bullets out on purpose. Oh my god. So while April's upstairs calling the police, the angry husband grabs his gun and shoots Rob 3 times, killing him. Yeah. Oh my god. But what comes after that is even crazier. In the 80s, Beth Ann is now older, and she's there with the older girl. This girl is April's daughter. And she talks about how her husband died on the floor right over there and everything. But this is the kicker. Beth Ann is still friends with April. Still to this day. And she raises April's child while April goes away and sings on Broadway and this and that. I'm all like, you got to be kidding me. Not only does she get away with it, but the angry husband's finally in jail and he died by execution. But like, she got away with planning a murder. Not only that, but she still befriended the mistress and everything. I'm just kind of like, what in the world was that at the end? Like, okay, her getting away with it, I can give that a pass. But her still being friends with the mistress, and the mistress knew very well that he was a married man and did not care. Then that totally negates everything that Beth Ann was pissed about when it came to the affair. But then of course, but then when it comes to the secretary, like the secretary getting away with it because she didn't do anything to the secretary, that totally negates the fact that she's pissed about her daughter dying. So I don't like the ending towards this story, because everything Beth Ann does in the 80s that will led up to the 80s negates every reason why she was pissed off at Rob and wanted him dead and everything. I don't get that. But anyway, let's get to the 1984 couple. The 1984 family. So, like I said before, I really don't feel like this is very 80s and stuff. Like, maybe the hair with Simone, that's about it. But other than that, I really just don't feel it. Some bright colors here and there, but I really don't feel it. Anyway, this is about Simone and her husband. Simone is played by Lucy Liu, and I just love Lucy Liu to death. I've been a huge fan ever since the 90s. A lot of people rag on her acting, but she's actually very good. The problem is people always only see her in those movies where she plays a very stiff, monotone person. But watch her in other stuff and you will see expression, and even in this show, comedy and everything. She plays a very selfish diva, snooty type woman. She's rich and she loves it. Basically, her first marriage, she married for love, had a child. I forget her child's name, Amy, I think it is. And after that, she started marrying for money. She didn't want to be poor no more and stuff. She's very much the Gabrielle of this show. And so she has the most fabulous lifestyle. She has an art gallery with her husband, Carl. Carl is played by that of Jack Davenport. And I had no idea that's the dude from the pirate movies, the captain dude. He's married to Michelle Gomez. I didn't know those two were married and stuff. That's so cool. And so, basically, she thinks she has the best lifestyle ever and everything until she's at her house party and somebody sent her an envelope. And the envelope is one of those kissing booth things where the photographs come, and it's her husband kissing a man. She is startled to see he is gay. And so, like, she is devastated. So, after the party, she lets him have it. She is furious that she got cheated on and that her husband is gay and that he never loved her. She tells him plain and simple, you're getting out this house, you're moving out, and all this other crap. Well, he decides he's going to end it all and take a bunch of pills, the entire bottle. He's passed out, and she rushes him to the hospital to get his stomach pumped because she don't want him to die just yet. She want him to suffer by getting kicked out the house and everything. When they get home, she's looking around the place where he was passed out at, and she sees a pill sticking out. She pulls back the sofa cushion. All the pills are there. He faked his overdose. So she threatened to kick him out again. He's all like, nope. He blackmails her and all like, you kick me out and I'll tell everybody that I'm gay, I embarrassed you, blah, blah, stuff like that. So she don't want that, so she has to let him stay. And so by this time, the person who showed her the envelope was a boy named Tommy. And Tommy is the son of her best friend. And so, like, Tommy has a crush on Simone, and he let her know that, yeah, he looked in the envelope, and basically he tries to seduce her, but she will not let him, saying that, like, he's 17, but he turns 18 in 3 days, but he's still in high school. But he wants her, and he wants her bad, but she will not let him have her until she talks to his mom, and she finds out that, like, her husband Carl has been cheating on her for years, but the mom didn't know with who. And so she finds out later, the lady that sent the pictures and stuff is some woman she don't like. And so because Tommy's mom knew about this for years and didn't say nothing, she's all like, oh, I'm getting some revenge on the mom. So she finds Tommy and she's like, look, we can start banging, but you gotta find us a place. It's an interesting love triangle type thing that's going on. Tommy is still young and in high school, and he is madly in love with Simone. Simone is a selfish diva, a trophy wife, and she doesn't like the poor lifestyle. Tommy doesn't have much money. He buys her a swatch, and it's all pink and colorful, and she thinks it's tacky because it's not like diamonds and gold and silver and all this stuff. But she realizes something. Unlike her husband, Tommy actually loves her and is very affectionate towards her and makes her feel good. When she sees her husband making fun of Tommy because he doesn't know that's her lover yet, she starts to open up more to Tommy and put on the swatch and everything. And slowly, she does start to fall in love with Tommy. And they have the weirdest, like, incognito type lifestyle where they'll go to a diner and she'll be dressing, like, with a scarf on her head, sunglasses, trench coat, very old school. Now, I hate when they do, like, the young person and the adult, like, romance thing. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it in television. And so, like, eventually, of course, the husband does find out. But of course, Tommy gets jealous of the husband because he starts to see she's not leaving him. That is her best friend, you know what I'm saying? And that's what the husband told her. Like, you are my best friend. I didn't want to hurt you, but I gotta live my lifestyle. Like, he's just attracted to men. And it's one of those things where it's hard. Like, you want to hate him because he cheated and he's been cheating for years, but he has a legit reason. It's just he's not attracted to women. But at that same time, it's hard to root for him to be the person he wants to be because he's lived a lifestyle with her for over like 10 years and it's been a fake one. She could have had a husband that really truly loved her and loved being like with her, you know what I'm saying? And so it's one of those type of situations that's really hard. But no matter how much they despise each other, they do love each other and they get along for the most part. And so, like, but Tommy is falling very hard, even to the point of buying her, like, this big old diamond, like, jewelry type thing, which he spent, like, his money on, his savings, or bonds or something like that, which causes his mom to think that he's selling drugs to the point where she spies on him. So we get a bunch of shenanigans and everything, like them almost getting caught several times. The mom going through his diary, telling Simone for her to race on over there and like get the diary and stuff, and find out he's been drawing her naked. And stuff. Oh boy. And then there's a point where they wanted to find a place to do it other than the van because, like, they need a room. And so, like, and also he lost his catering job and stuff. So, like, he spilled, like, food on Carl and stuff. So, like, they go to this woman's house that he's house sitting for, this older woman that knows his mom. This is when we get our only guest cameo from somebody from Desperate Housewives. It's the woman who plays Mrs. Hoover. And so, like, they almost get caught, like, again. And it's to the point where Simone needs a way out the house. So she calls Carl, and he takes his car and he wrecks it into Tommy's mom's car, providing the cover that Simone needs to get out the house and pretend like she was jogging over there. Like I said before, these two really have each other's back, even though they are going through a divorce. And her daughter is just as selfish and nasty as she is and marries for money. She's supposed to marry like this guy that's rich, but she don't want to no more. She wants to bang Tommy. So the mom makes it to where, like, ruining like those two getting together and stuff because she's falling in love with Tommy. And then it happens, and I can't believe they did this storyline. Now, like I said before, this is why women kill. So I'm all like, okay, she can't be that upset to want to kill her husband because she hasn't acted like she wanted to. And plus, they're getting along very well. They're still going out together, like they're married and stuff. So how exactly and why is he gonna die? Because we know he dies because in one of the openings, they keep mentioning how every husband is dead and stuff like that. But how exactly did he die? And so I couldn't believe they did this storyline, because you don't see too many people doing it. But it's a very important storyline to do because it actually happened in the 80s. And the way they handle it was very mature, unlike that cancer episode in Desperate Housewives. And not only that, but it was very emotional. Carl has AIDS. And when he took off like his shirt, he had this weird purple like spot on his back, and it was big. Now, when it comes to AIDS, I know it kills people. And I know there's medicine now that can help, like, let a person live a lot longer. But other than that, I don't know what it did to your body. But now I do. It makes you tired, very tired, dizzy at times, and it puts these splotches all over your body, like blood splotches and stuff. And he doesn't want to tell her. He does not want to upset her. That is how much he loves her. He knows he hurt her already, because when she finds out one of his lovers was her old hairstylist, she lost it and everything, especially when she caught those two in the bathroom. But after talking to the hairstylist and how much Carl meant to him, she has decided that those two are meant for each other. And that those two, she even arranges for them to go on a date, which makes him very giddy and everything. So by this time, Tommy has stopped hating on him. But now she doesn't know he's sick until one of the nurses, whose husband is like a doctor there, told her and told other people. Now the cat's out the bag. Not only is he gay, but he has AIDS. She is devastated and worried because she does not want him to die. Now, why is this an important storyline? Because the AIDS epidemic happened in the 80s. And when it happened, gay men were the primary people accused of having this drug. Not drug, but disease. It was to the point where they called it the gay man disease and stuff. Of course, as we know, both men and women can have it. But around that time, it was primarily gay men catching it. There's another disease that happened earlier this year where a bunch of like gay men were getting it. I forget what it was called. It has something to do with blood as well. Other than that, nobody's that's like serious. Like all these illnesses that keep happening in the world, they talk about it for like one time on the news, then they stop all of a sudden. So it's like, is it over? Is it not? Like what happened to hornet bees? Seriously, what happened to them? So anyway, so she is devastated. He's trying to like hold his head up high and all this other stuff. It's even to the point where she'll help him apply makeup to cover up those blotches and stuff. Well, at some point in time, Tommy was supposed to go, I think, to Europe on a vacation, and he wanted Simone to go. But when Carl got sick, she can't go. He is furious, and he gets drunk and wrecks his car. When he's in the hospital, Simone goes there, the mom goes there, and the mom sees a tattoo on her son's butt. It's of the face of Simone. So she knows something's going on. And it's then she causes so many people to hate Carl. The mom calls everybody she knows, even the hospital. Simone's not allowed to go to the hospital. She tells everybody that, Carl is gay, he has AIDS, and all of a sudden, people start writing slurs on their house. And nobody in the neighborhood will look at them the same way. Everybody just stares at them. And when Carl passes out outside, nobody will help him because they're afraid of catching the disease. Only one man will, though. It's to the point where they are being alienated. And this is a sad, sad thing and a very realistic thing people went through in the 80s and stuff. And when they go and visit, like one of Carl's friends that also has AIDS, he is on his deathbed and Simone can't take it. And it's to the point where Carl's health is just getting worse and worse. Now, not only that, but Tommy's mom tries to run over Simone. She's in a really bad accident. She gets arrested and put in the mental ward. So at first I thought, why women kill, I thought Tommy's mom was going to be the woman to kill Simone or run over Tommy by mistake, but it doesn't happen that way. Sadly, Carl's health is getting worse, and he asked her to end his life with an injection and stuff. He doesn't want to suffer no more, and it's getting to the point where he's so tired and drowsy and all this other stuff, and the blotches are getting worse. So devastated and heartbroken, she doesn't want to do it, but she does it. And they dance for one final time, and he wants to see her in the red dress he bought her, and they tango, and then it's time to put him to sleep. He can't do it himself because he's not strong enough, and she does it for him. So this is how the wife of this story murders her husband out of like what's that phrase? Not pity, but like I guess like a kind act or something like that. I can't really think of the phrase right now. And this was the saddest out of all the stories and stuff, and one of the most saddest and heartbreaking. It was very touching and stuff. Now, what happens to Simone afterwards? Well, she lives in the house from the 80s to the year 2019. We see her as an older woman, and she's been confined to a wheelchair. It's not explained how she's been put in a wheelchair, and she doesn't even look that different in the face. They could have made her look older, but they just gave her gray hair. And so, like, apparently, she's ready to move on with her life, and she no longer has the art museum. Tommy is now an artist and everything. They no longer see each other, and she wants her masseuse dude to take her to the hotel so he can give her a very properly interesting massage. And so that's interesting how her life turned and why she wanted to leave the house and all this other stuff. And unlike the first story, it's like, you don't want nothing bad to happen to her because she wasn't, like, you understood why Carl cheated and stuff like that. You understood why she cheated. She didn't really cheat. She was just like, she wasn't really having an affair. She just had like a lover and everything. It was wrong that he was underage, and she should have went to jail for that, of course. But, she did. Well, he was 18 and an adult, but he was still in high school and stuff. But you know what I'm saying. and stuff like that. And so, yeah. And it would have been interesting to know what happened to Tommy's mom and stuff. And it was one of those things that was just wrapped up in a nice little bow. Then we get to like the next family. I can't stand them for nothing. Before I go into the 2019 couple, let me clarify something because I already made the audio for that, but I want to insert this in before I start that. I made a comparison to Married with Children. And when I compared the characters, I was comparing Eli to that of Peggy Bundy. All right, so I'm not comparing Peggy to Taylor. The 2019 couple. I'm gonna try to make this fast because I think I spent 20 minutes on each family and I'm just trying to wrap this up. Plus, since I really don't like them, I don't feel like hating on them for a very long time. When it comes to the stars here, I actually don't know who nobody is. I've never seen them in nothing. And it's weird because when I watch them and hear their voices, I feel like I've seen them on screen, but I haven't. So anyways, first it starts off with the married couple of Taylor and Eli. The main problem I have with them is that I don't find their entire story all that realistic. I feel it realistic in the way you will write a modern day television or movie. What do I mean by that? Well, you have Eli, who is a wimp and wuss of a man, and you have Taylor, who is like this strong, confident, like very empowered woman. I don't have a problem with women empowerment. If you ever watch my channel, you know I ain't got no problem with that. My problem with this is that they're pushed to the extreme level and it's annoying and everything. Basically, it's like this. Eli, the husband, he is a screenwriter. So, of course, you don't get a job unless, you're hired and then you get paid for it if it's good. So, his last screenplays have not been good. Long time ago, it really was, but now it's not. And so, he hasn't got much work, which really has put him in a slump. He is cowardly. He does not stand up for himself whatsoever. He's just a weakling of like a man and everything. Like they literally wrote him to be the most docile man ever. And his wife literally takes care of him. Like his wife, they're in an open marriage, or should I say his wife is. He's not. He's just at home being a good little boy. He used to be a drug addict, but then she's the one who had to help him get out of that. And so like it's like he never is able to do anything on his own. She micromanage everything when it comes to him. And it's just they written him to be the biggest like wimply man ever. Like he can't even defend himself in a fight. When they have to go to this big scary guy's house, he brings a hammer while his wife is fighting with like her hands and everything. When it comes time for like the bad person to like do bad stuff to him in form of a stabbing, he gets stabbed, lays on the floor while his wife is fighting in hand-to-hand combat. What the world? I'm just kind of like, that is not realistic whatsoever, unless you're the wimpiest person in the world. So it's written very much like modern day television, whereas his wife is a lawyer. She's very confident. She's very strong-willed, she's very independent, and she's in an open relationship with a woman by the name of Jade, who she fell in love with at yoga class and everything. And like, and it's okay. So she brings Jade home to their home because Jade's in a bad relationship with a guy named Duke. Eli don't want Jade there. He's never met her, but he just doesn't want his wife mistress like living with them. But of course, the wife wears like, the pants and like the family and everything. So Jade comes on over, he sees her and is like, whoa, she's hot. So he wants a threesome. He has to ask his wife for one. And Jade's like, I'll do it. And so they have a threesome. When they have a threesome, They do him first, and he's like in heaven. Then they start to do themselves, and he's looking and he's trying to join in as they're doing themselves, but they won't let him join. So he goes downstairs, gets some pie, fixes pie and ice cream for everybody, and then he realizes something. They're up there for a very, very, very long time, longer than what they were with him. Wow. So he goes up there and he sees something. His wife and Jade are cuddling. She don't do that to him. Basically, it's later revealed that the reason why she wanted an open relationship is because she looks down on her husband. He doesn't have a job. He's in a slump, and she wanted some excitement in her life and somebody to make her happy. And that was Jade. Really? And every argument she wins. The only time he stands up for himself and wins an argument is when he's high on drugs. And the problem is that, like I said before, this doesn't feel like a realistic lifestyle. Yes, there are people in a polyamorous like relationship. They call it a truffle. Yes, there are people that are like that. You know what I'm saying? I've never met nobody like that, but they tend not to always end well. Like just ask Ezra Miller or that Frankie Grande person. They don't always end well, but some people they do, and some people have a really good threesome relationship type thing. So it's like a regular relationship. It's half and half. Some are good, some are bad. You know what I'm saying? But normally they just end bad. Like I knew two people in college who were swingers. Let's just say they're not swingers no more because it ended badly. But anyways, so it's like Jade, she comes in and he realizes that, his wife loves Jade more than him and everything. Now, my problem with this is that yes, there are men who live on women, and yes, they don't have jobs and this and that, but they're normally still manly men. Just ask all the men on the Murray show. And for him to be this docile and everything, it just made him look so weak and make her look so strong. Now, for comparisons, like I said before, if they wouldn't have written him so wussy and her so like powerful and everything, it would be fine if there was like a balance. He could still be like, living with her. She could have the job. She could be independent, all this and stuff. If they wrote it better. Like look at Married with Children. Al was the breadwinner of the family. He was a manly man. He insulted his wife. He had a gorgeous wife, but for whatever reason, he just wanted to look at other women and didn't appreciate his wife. And when he came home, he wanted the house clean and he wanted food. He never got any of that. Peggy, while being a housewife, she wasn't your typical housewife. She never cooked, she never cleaned, she did not take care of the kids. She watched TV all day, spent Al's money, ate bonbons, and she could dish out those insults as good as she can take it. She was a strong woman in her own right because she knew how to manipulate Al and everything. And, and he never gave her affection and he never gave her sex, which is something she always wanted. They had an equal balance. They could both insult each other very well. They will both take it and they will both like dish it out. You know what I'm saying? She knew exactly what she was doing and she knew how to control that house without having to lift a finger. You don't see that no more and stuff. And so with Jade, her character is so confusing. First, she seems like just a nice, caring, sweet girl and everything who's in a bad relationship with a bad guy. She also seems a little aloof in the head. And she is actually the villain of the show in this part, because it's like, but you don't find that out until really towards the end of the season. So you go throughout the entire season thinking she's good, but there are little tidbits that you can always just give a pass to. Like, remember when I said, what's his name would bring a hammer to the fight where his wife brings the fist? Well, it's because Jade wanted to get her dog back from Duke. He wanted to do it and he threatened to kill the dog. They all go over there. He busts open the window and he gets the dog. When what's his name comes over to get the dog, they all fight him and everything. What's his name has the hammer but get his butt kicked really fast. His wife, on the other hand, jumps on Duke's back and like tussles with him and stuff. And then Jade takes the hammer and breaks his kneecap with it and stuff. And the look she gave him might have like indicated something wrong with her. Then when what's his name Eli was writing a story for a show and he slept all day. He had 24 hours and slept. He couldn't even get like the beginning part out, the middle. No, he didn't have the last part. That's what he didn't have. So Jade literally helped him with his story, and it's a bestseller. He couldn't even do it on his own. Do you see what I'm saying? He can't do nothing on his own. But Jade gave him a really good idea: make the person crazy, make her burn the house down, and all this other stuff. So it later turns out that there's a reason why she came up with that plot. It's because of something she did in everything. And one time to help him write something to stay awake, she gave him a pill. He tried to say no, he didn't want it, but she convinced him to take it anyways. Then he takes it, he becomes an addict again. The wife finds out and tells like Jay, he used to be a bad addict. And when he does, he gets very generous with money. He starts buying gifts. Jade likes that idea. But Jade is pissed that he didn't tell her he used to be an addict. And they're all blaming him for taking those pills and all this other crap, when it was Jade who kept persuading him to take it. And then there's Jade who's doing lines of chalk with him. So then you start to get suspicious of her. And when something really bad happens, when the wife finds like drugs in the car and stuff, she starts to get suspicious of Jade. Now, all of this is actually Taylor's fault. She is the one who wanted an open relationship. She's the one who brought Jade in when Eli did not. Not only that, but Jade was gonna go to Europe. See, after they did their threesome, they went to a club. She saw her old couple there. They all like, Jade, come with us to like the UK and everything. And she was gonna go, but Taylor started to get jealous. She didn't want her girlfriend to leave, so she basically begged her to stay. Then she starts to get jealous of Eli and Jade and all the time they spend together, and when they do it without her being there and stuff. And so after she starts to get suspicious of Jay, she goes to see Duke in jail and bails him out. He tells her everything. Her real name is Irene, and she's crazy. She dates people for money so they can take care of her, and then she splits and everything. When Taylor finds this out, Taylor has always left the house because Eli and her had a huge fight and basically got kicked out the house, and she left and went to stay in the hotel. And when she came back, she told Jade to go, and Jade's like, I'm not going nowhere. Then we see Jade looking for like wedding gowns and stuff because she wants to marry Eli. And it's like, where was all this, 7 episodes ago? This all came around like in the 8th episode. And so she tells Eli he doesn't believe her, but then he confronts Irene about it. She realizes only Duke could have told that. So she goes to Duke's place, pretending to live there. Like, Duke, I need money. I need a place to stay. Because they got into a huge car accident. And so she's running from the cops. When he won't give her money, she takes the knife and she kills Duke. And then she goes back to the house of Taylor and Eli, who have made up by this point. And she starts freaking them out because she has the knife in her hand. She runs out. Police get called. She's hiding out in the house. Then we get the big confrontation. She just stabs Eli one time and he falls in a pool of his blood. He is taken out just like that. Then, to give him some credit, he was in a car accident, but still. But then, oh no, here come Taylor. She's trying to kill her. No, Taylor's whooping her behind hand-to-hand combat style, tossing her around the room, punching her, all kind of crap. I'm like, really? She's that powerful and stuff. And she ends up stabbing Irene and killing Irene and everything. So then it turns out that Tyler actually did not die. And not Tyler, but Eli. And the reason why women kill in this segment is to protect yourself and your lover. So then they decided, all right, it's time to leave. And in an interesting Mark Cherry twist, just like the ending of Desperate Housewives, it ends on somewhat of a cliffhanger, kinda. But it also gets resolved. There's a new couple who moved in, and she gets a text. She checks her husband's phone. It's some half-naked girl talking about, I enjoyed last night. She pulls out a rifle and shoots her husband point blank. And that season ends. So, like I said before, it's a good show and everything. It just takes a while to get to the point of why women kill. And it's just weird that there's so many Desperate Housewives references in this. I wish it is original, don't get me wrong. Like, it takes traits from Desperate Housewives and like character profiles from them, and it merges it into this show. I just wish it was a bit more unique. But like I said before, it's an entertaining show. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. All right, well, I'll talk to you later. Bye.